See, it's a very simple philosophy. Anybody who can be deterred from writing should have been. People who want to write really want to write, and they will write. If I were on the proverbial desert island, I would write the things and attach them to the back of a Galapagos tortoise in hopes that they would get out somewhere.
Land ahoy, I'll make my mark and bury treasure underfoot while I still can. Roots in a sandy patch, loot of boots, tied treasure roots. I'll sing my body electric through a vein anatomy. See the fruitless plow with bloody veins that drip in atrophy. Just a metaphor for pouting poets facing closing doors. Heave your anchors, paddle towards the shore with your bitter roars. Concoct a new brew of convoluted ancient lore. It's these ales that make an ale, making mail to stuff in lost decanters. Their answer banter from this linguistic dismantler on an ABV of pageantry and rhyming rise on tidal rides. Bide your grains of sand and raise your toast to all the blushing bride. Hide disguises on these lines, on aging faces growing wise, and soon concoct the perfect crime to steel themselves to wake sublime and peer on crag a sweet abyss of a solitary artist's bliss. A recluse sands Xanadu, awoke by croaking cockatoo. Raise a toast to present ghosts, the mother, daughter, and this holy coast, and watch the surf encroach your toes and haggle calls approach the lobes and fill the world once comatose with fruitful worlds of worldly woes. Embodied by a purple prose of repetitions overblown and cast away from outcast lips where tweezers could compose a ship. Stick a cork like an exclamation awoke you from your dream. It seems my scheme is just some lines left behind for you to read between. Put a record in the postman's bag, carry it with you at the postman's drag. Any day expect a revelation, even if belated. Check a tracker, a waxy spit is platter. Comes eventually, post haste hardly matters. If not today, then a day I'm more prepared. Cause I've sent some tortoises with vital forces, every one of them paired against some hands. It's law to trickle its due between me and you, to the lands that I traverse on this wide blue earth. And so the topics of these verses from the tropics blow the doors down upon every delivery. A misanthropic little ode on your doorstep to read. Stake your claim and wait for the swelling pride of some shell-strapped pops of pulpy poetry. I trek soggy through the flooded strand, canvas a marshy land, stick pamphlets in some sweaty hands. I lead my soul through some polluted deltas. I make a load of gold, inspire sweltering brows, and even most deaf smelters. I made my way through many blood-stained mires, and volunteered my trusty beers to house the sphere's most urgent wires. I kicked the dust at the wooded foothills and lost thrills, sermonizing mounts and doggy paddling, still ahead into horizons of a windswept heat, and held tight to beliefs on a scaly bottle grip until bequeathed. I remember like a demo with a jazz lace beat, then on the postman's fib, tripping out a shattered lid. Here's the desert isle trial for a tall-tailing kid. I ask attention in exchange, I flip the pro quo quid. Fed your land with planned intentions, what I did and how I lived. Money and die, that's the American way. So all the patient ears await with bated inhalations what I say.
Let's see what we have here, shall we? Sure enough, ladies and gentlemen, it's Rembrandt. It's Rembrandt.
I'm gonna be the one to tell you that there's water on the moon. Now that you know, you'll probably colonize it soon. Can't help but do that shit wherever you can find a room. There's not a patch of soil that your sickly grip don't think is fit to grow. Water on the moon. I'm floating in a crater, the creator's got a master plan. Water on the moon. That's the more in the palm of your hand. There's no amount too big that you snakes won't take. You greed-struck leviathan sucking up entire lakes. A mindless thirst unquenchable, they can't be stopped. Meanwhile, I'm skin and bones and feeling guilty just to taste a single drop, of course. Lacking remorse, raise the forest, feast on flesh. Does not live sacred, no human dignity, the best at thresh. So why do I feel ashamed whenever I say grace to those ruthless rulers I despise who tell me I deserve much less? Water on the moon. I'm floating in a crater, the creator's got a master plan. Water on the moon. That's the more in the palm of your hand. I'm gonna be the one to tell you that there's water on the moon. Now that you know, you'll probably colonize it soon. Can't help but do that shit wherever you can find a room. There's not a patch of soil that your sickly grip don't think is fit to grow. It's a mystery how this harsh mistress hasn't been bled totally dry. It's a mystery how this harsh mistress hasn't been bled totally dry. Across the Adam's apple of your eye. There's a paradigm, Stein will galvanize and watch his atom rise. I unto the rivet, one at the rivet rebel's demise. Word from the rivet's tongue, where the truth of fibs are hardly mine. I was but the catalyst, the soil to the vine. Staring at the stars, fox-eyed grapes, plunging into the cheese, stately banners making stakes. I blast the placards on some pickets, chanting phrases, garden lakes. You don't want this fortune, this was all a huge mistake. Call me Rex, pick a king steak, demonstrate wine divine from fruitful earth, and cultivate a fragile grape, sing praises for its birth. If its self-loathing grower was a groaner in the end, then at least he gave away his bitchings, never asked for compliments, never hoarded boarded cellars while surface dwellers scraped for sediment. He always with his broken body gave his blood as a condiment. Drink this in remembrance of me, and he sang it with accompaniment. Some of y'all barons with your overflowing gullets will be crocodile crying when you kick the fucking bucket. Some of y'all barons with your overflowing gullets will be crocodile crying when you kick the fucking bucket. Some of y'all barons with your overflowing gullets will be crocodile crying when you kick the fucking bucket. Some of y'all barons with your overflowing gullets will be crocodile crying when you kick the fucking bucket. Some of y'all barons with your overflowing gullets will be crocodile crying when you kick the fucking bucket. Some of y'all barons with your overflowing gullets will be crocodile crying when you kick the fucking bucket. Water on the moon, floating in a crater, the creator's got a master plan. Water on the moon, that's amore in the palm of your hand. That postman going down the river in a barrel, gurgling, burping, and babbling with a gaggle full of ducks. But that embittered brother never really gave a fuck about the double hop brother he delivered to the rabble. Two of a feather, birds of a pair, the practical among them in denial and despair. He dubbed his twin anthropophagus, just one insult from an uptight gynecologist. He dubbed his twin self-amontillado, while they break themselves together in their filth-infested chambers. These decomposing mirror images of perfect strangers for atricidal, lingual, and labial rearranges. One quick trip to the payphone, never leave. While the star soaks the feathers down in tar and shit and gasoline. One more dip of the pill bottle, kid. Took the capsules, cram the message in, and seal the fucking lid. Two occlusive sergeants going brick by brick, staking mortar quick in case and shaking fingers, quivering lips. And now my brother's keeper, I must offer him a sip, he takes it down. And now prepare the poison pen, a quill, a felon, pluck it down. An artist of this scalpel brush require anesthetic for my own shot nerves, so I siphon off the salve that I should have administered. Hypocritic junkie coax to call a hoax the oath and only serve. Turn my pen into an opiate and never share the word. Turn my pen into an opiate and never share the word. Turn my pen into an opiate and never share the word. Turn my pen into an opiate and never share the word. Now my brother's keeper, I must offer him a sip, he takes it down. And now prepare the poison pen, a quill, a felon, pluck it down. Like a rock that's all too able to come crashing on his crown. Watch a crimson trickle like an ivy conclusively. Place the red brick, drink the red wine down feverishly. Turn my pen into an opiate and never share the word. Goodbye, tell me what makes up a man. Is it the work that he is wrought by the tools in his hands, or the cigarette requested when he makes his less demands, or the final rites he ships away as precious contraband? And flow while that spirit dribbles slow into your cup, blowing bitter brother's ashes while you drink the fucker up. Knock, knock. Rise from your hard bag, George. Stretch your leathery neck and get prepped to get engorged. If you unfortunately die before you hit the bullseye, then you'll be the final bud that your family's branching is forged. At least they'll never say you didn't try. And what's more, tick-tock, George, you're running out of time. You gotta keep up the blood flow to keep up the family lines. In a Tokyo mediated or a barren isle, wound up on the shore trying to inseminate a reptile. Spinning a pistol with a mostly empty chamber. You've been shooting blanks, ensuring you'll remain in danger. Knock, get yourself out of your funk now. A Galapagos is gonna know the sound of another last soul. Give it another go, mount your missus, take a bow. Hope you got enough spunk to take the shot and make the goal. Tick-tock, George, you're running out of time. You gotta keep up up the blood flow to keep up the family line. Get your mind off your worries, ease yourself of some stress. And yes, the pressure is intense because the stakes are immensely high. So if you'd like your legacy to survive, you got to hit the fucking target before you die. So believe that a bitter old blast of a break will be a Don Juan tortoise not so old, he'll concede the receipt into your shell. What the hell, shoot some seed. I'm not naive, but do believe that you'll achieve. I know that you'll concede. You're out of time, you gotta keep up the blood flow to keep up the family line. Tick-tock, George, you're running out of time, you gotta keep up the blood flow to keep up the family line. Tick-tock, George, you're running out of time, you gotta keep up the blood flow to keep up the family line. Tick-tock, George, you're running out of time, you gotta keep up the blood flow to keep up the family line. I've got a job for you. Alright, here's how you begin. 2, 3. Here's how you begin. Pack a parcel on the back of a terrapin and send him to the wind and tide and wave goodbye. Won't ever have a better tether to the kingdom of man. No wings on my hand or sprouts in my sandy land. No poetry's ever been written about me. I've never been a Capulet on a balcony. I'm just Orlando watching Russian ships sail from icy banks with vivid draws of cedar wood encased in cadence, keen to contravene, would overflow with rhapsodic and labacious forms on dreadnoughts and planks. And the canisters go bobbing along and the cold blood flow to go between. 'Cause I'll never be a Helen to a single ship. It's me, myself, and no one else, and we're fused at the hip. 'Cause we be salty, earthly, trolly, all abrasive bits of fertilizer, while clipping rampant stanzas and referencing some wiser. And a breathalyzer moan of a long-side blow shall be the wind in the sails for our voyage home from down below. I am the wife of a sailor. I heard when your mutt saw you return, he died of joy. How amusing. It's such a blessing, may the gods be praised, that through these couple perilous decades, you are oh so miraculously saved. But your humble excellence has seen his homecoming best spent in the act of murdering suitors and hanging promiscuous maids. So I may argue in this open letter that insolence, not heroism, has defined Odysseus, and he's left debts as yet unpaid. I am the wife of a sailor, and your failure to deliver severance must be illuminated. I doubt that any of your faceless crew had failed to truly see the workplace hazards so entrenched in those who sail from poverty and toil as a lower class on motherfucking Odyssey. So please explain and make it plain the origin of the voyage's name, for I speak to a monster who has squandered his entire crew. So why is this endeavor not dubbed for he, but instead for you? You have made no penance for the generations you have stolen us, bereft of God's glory. Pillage, theft has left us nothing. Your failed apologies are Greek to me, or should I jest and call them Roman? You've roamed for 20 years, return expecting to rest with blood on your gold-clenched hands, and then when I have the gall to demand these pithy condolences, you dare to say it's of no fault of your own. Zeus, Helios, and the rest of the blame for this. All praises to their names and their life-sparing gifts for Odysseus. How did it happen? Where did he die? You shrug and say, could have been swept away by the winds or turned into a swine. You say, 6 men were snatched by a 6-headed beast. You say, I went to pray and they wandered away and they cast their stones and they flung their arrows all at the sacred cattle of the sun. They disobeyed commands and they killed the blessed with their own hands. And thus our ship was damned and all aboard except I drowned. Seriously, you expect me to take that bullshit sitting down? Wife of a sailor. I heard Athena gave your wife some beautiful
I
gifts.
sent some recompense.
You think all the time that your missus was weaving a funeral shroud, this crowd wasn't proud enough to produce a proper legal defense? Though the gods may have put the wind in those sails when the water was waist deep, who held and hoisted the buckets to bear?
Ithaca argued.
Though the gods may have secured your personal return would not fail, who tied you to the mast to ensure your safety from those sirens' wails? Your gods and goddesses are careless, spirits and excuses. Pay what we deserve or we will make your fucking laurels useless. I would rather occupy a kingdom ruled by the winds and the seas than see another sickly sycophant on bended knee come far before thee. Though your records won't contain my name, I still retain my dignity and my claim that you're the one to blame. I can't understand your legacy, I can't grasp your fame. I'll never sound a poetic epic, no Homeric or hysteric question merit. But still, with vitriolic venom, I will loudly proclaim your villainy and viciously demand that you explain. Why, if my man came would there be no trumpets? Why, if my ship came in, would there be no trumpets? Why, if I did to you what you did to me, would there be no revelry? Why, if my man came home, would there be no trumpets? Land ahoy. To set foot upon my isle's sands, I request you trample upon all your crucifixes. I make few demands, but request that when intermixed, both Bolsheviks and fascists leave their baggage on the shore to be lost at sea betwixt eclipses, just to be sure. Welcome to the island of the misfit boys. Welcome to the island of the misfit boys. I was someone in a tree. I was a watcher, Dr.
Before you tell the tales that I witnessed,
I was someone in a tree. I was a watcher,
let
Dr.
me quickly explain before you judge me to be witless.
Trying to make some sense of a drumline of ones and O's and sticks and stones and rivers running bass that hums and splashes of some saxophone. Here I'm in there, right around the 360, and here in the mirror, I just can't wait to do a 180. And so I rush to ink and scrape some scroll, little bits of battle prose and those fire flicks on cabin walls that feather flock concocted a new draft that you really have to try. In fact, I've been sending sketty friends with samples gathered from my leaking pad. Swish it in some cheeks and spit and try to get a handle on the painful centibytes puzzle box of language I dismantled. I write raps like Tomac and Jalad at Tanagra and Shaka when the walls fell. I write raps like Tomac and Jalad at Tanagra and Shaka when the walls fell. Aye, no speaker, the aye, captain. Aye, island floating on the Pacific Ocean, I'm trapped in. Aye, get shaky when I down the potion. I spy, my limbs are heavy, treading in the spoken. An interwoven passage of the channel, thick with rocks and stumbling blocks. I'm knocked about phrases and wait to be unlocked. I hope this message is found. Thank God there's water everywhere. You'll need something to chase. You gotta know about the fuck are you even saying? I write raps like Tomac and Jalad at Tanagra and Shaka when the walls fell. I write raps like Tomac and Jalad at Tanagra and Shaka when the walls fell. Welcome to the island of the misfit boys. In a tree, I was a watcher, Dr.
Before you tell the tales that I witnessed,
I was someone in a tree. I was a watcher,
let
Dr.
me quickly explain before you judge me to be witless.
Buoyantly floating to my pagoda in the channel from your palace. and let me drop a spot of potency directly in your chalice.
Casks away.
No attempt to parse what the fuck I'm trying to say.
Casks away.
No attempt to parse what the fuck I'm trying to say.
Casks away.
With no attempt to parse what the fuck I'm trying to say. Call me Ishmael, calling this the key to it all. Turning the cold by watching artists gazing where atop their idols might roll. Someday, as a flower of white and gold, I'm fit to pick and press. An unreciprocated ode is what this duo's acquiesced upon. I'm a brazen self-inflator and hater, even fasting. I went deep in mirrored waters. I bask more in a casket than a percolator. And fraught fearful men's with perilous penance. Proudly profit a man of God holds out his hands. Might you replenish my coffers? Well, I done my twin anthropophagus. That's just one insult from an uptight narcissist. I saw the face of God and he looked like me. Some Franciscans vowed we shall not eat a single bite, but we'll need something to get us through the long days and nights. While they've been bottling waters from this bubbling brook, you've absconded with your costly blunders. Bundles like a Babylon vow. I shall not eat a single crumb, a working bell to bell, ignoring how my stomach gets to rumbling. And while I've been bungling waters from this bubbling brook, you've absconded with your costly blunders. Bundles like a Babylon brook. You saw yourself some salvator, tugging me from this robe of what you got to show. What's a motherfucking doppelganger, bro? If it wasn't for me, you make nothing, fucking nothing. No money, no product, no art, no draft. So before you flower a flounder, what do you have to say to your better half? And what's the alternative? Do I go out there on the streets with the organ grind? I guarantee brings even less to me. Hey, listen, man, I saw the face of God, and he looks just like... You and I are twins in an estuary, fingers on discord and panhandling, searching for some sterling on our hands and reaching out my grasp, and suddenly I hear it splash misplaced as my palms plunge into a puddle, proudly displaying my still smiling face. Stick 'em in a black glad trash bag, nagging and raid sack, snagged on the branch of a bush. Watching those burnouts pulling off their kick flips, taking their last sips with their lips up the Anheuser-Busch. That can in the palm of young Lava, reaches vice and sky high, flick that wrist on command. So let's smash down aluminum, he dunks it with a swish, pile of 5 bits of would-be wishes, slamming coin in the trash can. Rickety sticky wheel of a grocer's cart, absconded with the property of some mini-mart. Shoved with your shoveling gate to a swifter grifter's pile of discarded treasures you've embezzled on your travels. Battle for a while after mile, unraveling crumpled bills that you've obtained. A man who works for his living, no complainer, abstain from plain as pursuit. Eye on the prizes, chip crack but entirely whole. Nickel by nickel and piling loot till he meets his unobtainable goal. Here's our appeal to the common weal. Someone downtrodden like yourself truly knows the way it feels. A cold and frosty world spits icicle rhymes that keep your face in the mud till the end of time. Give a man some art, he'll be amused for a day. Teach a man to make some art, he'll waste his life away. Now that man, call him a vassal with a vessel. But while he's wrestled with the serpent in an isolated fight, the great devices of
Societal pressure!
Can men like you engaged in Sisyphean plights? You first man, I know you spent all day collecting bottles and cans, but we urge you to give them away. You, second man, require these decanters as well, and to you we tell you toughen up or face your fate in hell. Use a brick to build a wall or smash a window pane, but we're gonna need an implement with a little more flame. We're gonna wanna make a fucker ignite, cause they're gonna kill the lights and we're gonna need our crimes. We need all the supplies we can muster, so I kindly ask you please, set aside the art. A dire moment in time requires thicker luster. We lack containers for our petrol motor oil and our bleeding hearts. Bottles and cans, but we urge you to give them away. You, second man, require these decanters as well, and to you we tell you toughen up or face your fate in hell. We need the shit to make weapons that blast, that crash and explode, and turn the temples of gods to ash. We make it rubble on the double, if it ain't no trouble for us to ask if we may borrow your bottles to fucking smash. Hey, now we probably won't be bringing them back. They'll be cracked and implode with a fiery glow. Take the beast by the neck and command some respect. They go low, we go low. Watch us motherfuckers live low. Both of you got nothing to lose, and you've taken too much abuse, so cut loose. Ditch cots and dinghies and we'll shove off on this crumbling ship of a massive nation amiss. You got the right stuff, temperament, supplies, and guts, so cut the small talk, bottle that hot sauce quick. Make a Molotov, they're so much more explosive than a brick. Fellow citizens, please, I humbly request and even plead. I offer soggy stories in verse in bottles once filled with mead. So if I gift unto you this fine aged cork-sealed rhyme, then please, brother, can you spare a dime?
Come on, man. Where do you think you are, Michigan?
Hey, ma, take my Confederacy to the publisher. Make sure that I posthumously get my fucking Pulitzer. Take my Confederacy to the publisher. Make sure that I posthumously get my fucking Pulitzer. 26 friends committed for their arranger, placed in patterns of precarious rhyme and time. 26 friends from a world free of foes. When the water gun froze, make an ice flow grow. If we gravel in the gravel, let your labial and navel. Just we're waiting for a baby to birth upon the foot of Babel. No linguistic tongue twist could provide a proper cradle. For you have felt some feelings that for which these words must have no label. Wait, the hope is what you usually use a magnum. Drag them and then knock them out. The perch stands get crow's feet and eat something to eat. Hunger pangs go undefeated while the seagulls swift blow from the glass blowing topples the tower easily. Look what we sowing, undefeated. Soil trodden, lauded forest, rich dark pit. Product glad be given gifts to me and you and all the other yahoos. If Caesar travels, we're the featest among those who merely dabble. Knowing the code, scrabbled Morse and miserly code. Too many SOS's in a row is overload. But I found poetics in the gutters and the sinkholes. Dumpsters and landfills overflow with recyclables. And if the vessel shatters, hope you're shattered likewise by the prose that results from the leak of a wayward alphabetic. Always peeking at panes of browns, greens, while most slivers are clear. In a collage made of the remnants of a few too many beers. Like your goggles are a porthole to the swagger of an ass in the stands through the sculpted cracks of shards of stained glass. Hey, when you leave, take this last one. Take my Confederacy to the publisher. Make sure that I posthumously get my fucking Pulitzer. Take my Confederacy to the publisher. Make sure that I posthumously get my fucking Pulitzer. Take my Confederacy to the publisher. Make sure that I posthumously get my fucking Pulitzer. Take my Confederacy to the publisher. Make sure that I posthumously get my fucking Pulitzer. Morning wood, driftwood, night wood, morning wood, driftwood, night wood, morning wood, driftwood, night wood, morning wood, driftwood, night. Asleep nor snow, nor a flood, I'm in love with you. Go down, Matthew, down to the deep. Neither sleep nor dream, nor a flood, I'm in love. Go down, Matthew, perchance to seep into the spell of that sinking feeling. No foresights to know the battle of the herd versus the sheep
Signs
is
of value
over.
rock over ticks and tacks, revealing that we're all soon to be steeped upon a tortoise quickly sinking to the
I don't
locker.
understand you don't get me, but we need to work together to divert calamity. Though I'm sorry that your hajj has been aimed towards a mirage, don't refute the realization that we're standing on a sinking bar. Bring me my broadsword,
Bring me my
I
meat.
need an inebriation's edge to hedge my bets and get my whistle wet. With those verses like a flare in the abyss, someone will find me in the dark and save me with a true love's kiss. Saying all the best things in life are free, but look at all the money I made. Saying that the best things in life are free, but look at all the money I saved. This urgency has made my visions start to come clear, and frantic appearances of sparks are flying near of an narcissistic ceiling. Saltwater reflection climbs fast. I spit the salty inhalations, my last inspiration. Neither sleep nor snow, nor a flood, I'm in love with you. Go down, Matthew, down to the deep. Neither sleep nor dream, nor a flood, I'm in love with you. Go down, Matthew. Perchance to see. I let drunker clinks link from inside where I knock. Cause when you steal away my quill, I'm a mime in a box. And even in my slow processions where I run orthodox, I hope when you pour me out, you raise the slap and give me my pride. Saying all the best things in life are free, but look at all the money I made. Saying that the best things in life are free, but look at all the money I saved. Disobeying God's laws, what laughs catch baying dogs, and awful wrecking hungry hawks evolving into beasts who nigh. And quadrupedal people's jaws spit hems and highs and cog fires, slided towards the shears and size and packaged into foie gras. Service out of slimy saliva, remnants of the abattoir give pads and paws. Amid the clouds, play corpse blogs, speak the truth like squawking rid. A final wish from Peasley shit, a penguin's chili dip and penguins. Links of Tinker Tailor stitch, and kiss with feces on the lips, and a triple X or triplets pressed to a baleful strix flying westward treks. From the Mac, the sun takes quest to rise like yeast from the yeast on a hopeful breast. The actor struck work for a few. Well, I'm aboard to compose the crew, and they slimy furry 2x2s. The scat and piss while waters ominously grew, and less limp wrist slips while I read. The father, son, and the accomplice all accomplished these tall tales, leaving weaving yarns floating in the rising water while their arc starts to fail. Sending stories out in bottles, bobbing past the dampened sails, while having not a single bucket of bottles left with which to bail.
Now, with regard to this literary experiment of yours, it's a considerable thing because you are a very considerable man, and you have in your crowded composition a mighty genius for expression which has escaped discipline. But I don't think it gets anywhere. You have turned your back on common men, on their elementary needs, and their restricted time and intelligence. What is the result? Nothing but vast riddles.
Funny thing happened on the way to the ferry, man. I flipped a two-headed coin. A high chip in the ice or a plunk in the brine. Climate once tropical waters now turning to frost, and colder temps bring with it crops last and wind chills rise. Last link with fingernail wraps and a tap on the surface still fails to disrupt that swill on tap. Crank up a little bit of an icicle snap. Parched lips, spin the bottle and hope your tongue don't like Judaica. How it's up to mine throat like the paralyzed princess in Beelzebub's show. I could use a turtleneck while squeezing through this bottleneck. I could use a pigeon who could pace his carriage breakneck. Slowly, tortoise sunk, my bottles open shattered. My paper planes dive bomb, they lie in wake in tatters. Channels all are frozen solid, brews refuse the fermentation. Telegrams are also sluggish, I can't bear the hesitation. So fuck a mic, and fuck an MP3, and fuck a CD. Cause I always knew that someday I'd be rapping through a Ouija. prose cannot fulfill the need to feed desperate beast sonnets, bequeathed instead a land that was left barren and unfit to yield precious yeast. Cause the nation's time to sustenance doesn't need a poet or priest.
I wish his hands and mine could till the soil, and not just toil with a pen.
So I bide the time while I watch the tides roll in bed, maybe with their bellies full to have a need for me again. Now who's mightier? Now who's mightier? The poltergeist or the planchette?
If I bet.
Now who's mightier? On who's mightier?
Well, I'll be betting on the pick and not the bayonet.
Who's mightier? Now who's mightier? The poltergeist or the planchette?
If I bet.
Now who's mightier? On who's mightier?
Well, I'll be betting on the pick and not the bayonet.
Land ahoy! I'll raise a glass and swallow Jonah while the walls around me twirl. The hours pass with faithful casks. I reminisce of what I lack. A dry tongue kiss is all I miss, as all about me fades to black. I sent along a hopeful post, so while we sink I'll count the years. A heaved up high and happy toast from this embittered mutineer. And while I cast those fears adrift, you'd swear that you could almost hear, under my breath, I was softly whispering.